All right, good morning, graphic designers. I'm your host, Mr. Granlund, coming to you live from North High School, and I'm going to show you something about how to make up a card game, okay? Now, you can always search out other tutorials as well, and I think you'll find some great resources out there. Today, I'm going to use Pokemon as a base for my design. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. We're going to call this card game. The width is going to be 3.5 inches, so make sure that this is selected to inches. Height is 2.5, so 3.5 by 2.5. Oh, I need to switch these. Actually, it should be 3.5 by 2.5. Resolution, so the DPI, is going to be 300 pixels per inch. We're going to click Create. So now we have a good card game size, and I'm going to paste in a picture of a Charmander card I found online just to get some reference sizes here. And the reason I like to use kind of a card base as I'm starting my design is this is a really good template to work from. So designers have worked on this over and over again, and all the pieces that we need for this assignment are included in this card already, and they've been really nicely done. Okay, it's pretty easy to find pictures of Pokemon cards on the internet. Now if I go back to Schoology, these are the things that I'm looking for. So borders, textured background, stylized portrait, descriptions and titles, mechanic functions, and color scheme. So all of these pieces need to be in this card. And when we do all those pieces, these aren't just things that I'm pointing out because I think, I need a list of things for you to do. I'm pointing these out because these specific decisions make for a better looking card. And that's part of the reason why Pokemon's so popular is they have really nice looking cards, and it's easy to read and easy to find the information, easy to play, and things like that. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's start with our background color. So I'm going to make this kind of reddish background here. I'm going to make a new layer, and we're just going to fill it. I'm going to go to Filter, Noise, and we're going to go to Add Noise. I selected the wrong filter. So go to Filter, go to Render, and go to Clouds. Now this just gives us a nice kind of background cloudy kind of color. This is great. We're going to go to Image, Adjustments, and we're going to kind of recolor this. So we're going to go to, there's so many options here. Let's go to Curves, and I'm going to change curves here. Let's stick with a red color theme, and I'm just going to bring this line up like that. Okay, now we have a nice red kind of color, and we'll stay in kind of like the reds, yellows, golds, oranges kind of color scheme. These are analogous colors. Okay, so now it's good to throw in some borders, and I want to make sure that the borders are kind of even around the outside of the card and then even on the inside of the card too. On the left and the top of your card we have what are called guides, and if I click and drag these out, I can make some lines. Now these are invisible lines that I'm dragging out. And this just helps me kind of line things up. So I'm going to throw some guidelines here. And as I'm dragging these out, I'm kind of eyeballing this, which is just fine. But I also hold the Shift button, and that locks it into like every 10 pixels. So it actually makes it a little bit easier to get precisely right. Alright, so I've dragged out some some lines, and now I'm going to draw some borders. So I'm going to make a new layer, and then we're going to go ahead and drag out a rectangle selection guide. Okay. Now I'm going to go to Edit and Stroke. And I want to choose, for the different kinds of borders, the same size. And I also want to choose a nice color. So in the Pokemon card, they go with a yellow. So I'm just going to select a yellow. Or maybe I could do a red too. Kind of like the way the yellow jumps off the red. And for this, I'm going to do 50 pixels. This is going to be like my big outside border. And I'm going to change the position here to inside, so inside of that rectangle. Now I'm going to click OK. Alright, got a nice yellow border. And then I'm going to do another one. So in order to make a new selection, I have to deselect, so I do Control D, and then I'll make a new selection. And then I'm going to go to Edit, Stroke. Now this is a smaller border, so I'm going to do just 10 pixels this time. And you can do the center or the outside. I'm going to center it on this. Oh, I made it white and I actually wanted to make it a different color. So I'm going to click on this color, and the easiest way to make sure it matches is instead of clicking in the color picker here, I'm going to click on the border I made before and then click OK. Alright, so I got another border there. And if I turn these layers off, I can look down here. Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, that looks like it'll be a fine border. I just need one around the picture. Now you can have more borders for whatever you want to do. Now let's drop in some text. Now this can be whatever kind of card game. Maybe you want to make a Pokemon card to like expand your own Pokemon thing. Maybe you are going to invent a card game, and so you're going to throw some other things in here. Okay, and so whatever you add in here, just make sure you have border, textured background, which we did, and all of these pieces. You don't have to have multiples of all of these pieces, but when you look at the card, you should be able to understand, what does the card do? How does it work? What's the card name, right? So let's go back to Photopea. And I'm going to make some text here, and this is going to make a new layer. And so we're going to call, I'm going to name my card the Granulator. I'm going to give it a nice big text so it's really easy to read. And sometimes these borders get in the way, so after you've kind of used them for what you needed, sometimes it's really helpful to actually just get rid of them. And I'm using the arrow keys on the keyboard to move this around and reposition it. I'm going to actually line this up right there. And I think I might shift over. No, I'll just leave it shifted like that. Okay, so the Granulator, can give it some mechanic functions here. We'll give it 100 horsepower. So I'll use the text tool again. I was being funny. It's not horsepower, I understand that. And then we can also continue to give it more functions down here. Now the other cool thing in Pokemon cards are these little icons here. You don't have to make those exact icons, but let me show you how to do it. It's actually not very hard. Okay. So I'm going to just call this, I'm going to make a new layer, and I call it icon. I've clicked on this little button here. You can also do layer, new layer. I'm going to click on the ellipse tool, and I'm just going to make a circle. And then I'm going to fill it in. And you can fill it in with any color. I'll do a yellow color. Now we can right click on this layer so that we get the blending options. We can go to bevel and emboss. And we can make it look kind of rounded there. And we can do other things, add, you know, shadows to the outside and the inside. We can do glows, drop shadows. And all of this does is add some kind of a cool look to it. And if we click on our rectangle tool, we can go down to custom shape tool, and in custom shapes we have all kinds of shapes that we could find. So I like to look through here to see if there's maybe something that would work for an icon. And these icons are great. So I could do a lightning, I could do some sort of currency. Okay, ooh, coffee, done. Okay, so I'm going to select the coffee icon, and there you go. Caffeine charge. Okay. Now it's okay if you make up all of these different things. But I made kind of like a little button icon, has a little icon in the middle of there. And I can continue to fill this out as needed. So let's just take a look at what I have so far. The Granulinator, and the Granulinator is capable of caffeine charge. Now maybe it would help to talk more about like what the caffeine charge does in terms of the game or whatever. But let's switch it up and let's talk about this picture right here, because this is kind of the fun part. And you can draw your own picture, take a picture and put it in there. You could draw it on the computer. But one other thing you can do is you can use this. There's a plugin here. If you go to Window and go to More, and you go to Text to Image. Okay, and what text to image is it allows you to write in here, and it'll draw it for you. Okay, so in the style, and the more descriptive you can be about this, the better it's going to look. So in the style of Ken Sugimoto, make a cartoon style Pokemon, and let's see. In the style Ken Sugimoto, make a cartoon style coffee Pokemon. Now you can only do this like once every minute, but when I click create here, it's going to go ahead and put out a request to an AI drawing software, and it's going to create a Pokemon. There it is. This is just so silly. But here we go. Now I can actually drop this in and put it. So I'm going to click on the layer here called File, and I'm going to put it underneath my my layer. Like that. And then it doesn't quite fit in the border there, so I'm going to click on the raster mask button, and you can use a paintbrush, or you can use the rectangular select tool. So if I use the rectangular select tool and then click on the raster mask button, now I've cut out that picture that I got from text to image of my coffee Pokemon, the Granlinator. And this is a great start to my project. There's still a lot of empty space here that I need to fill in. But if you use an actual Pokemon card as your guide, I think you'll be really satisfied with the results, and you're also going to come up with something that's very similar to this. Feel free to add all kinds of blending options to your project. So for instance, on this part where I have all my borders, if I go to right click and go to blending options, I could bevel emboss, and I can, adjust things here. I can go to drop shadow, and it just gives it kind of a more interesting look. All right, I can't wait to see your game cards and see what you come up with. It's long been my dream that we could make a card game about school and then actually play that game. That would be pretty cool. I don't know. Tell me what you think about it in the comments of this video or on Schoology. But I can't wait to see your art, and I hope you all have a great day online.